We are saddened today to join the Marcelo Garcia family for something that should have not happened to begin with. We understand, and even though we just met the family, we always tell the families that it is unfortunate that we have to meet them under such circumstances when they are going through so much. Our condolences go out to your family because we know that you are in pain, but we also want to thank you for having the bravery and having the commitment to stand up and fight for what's right and fight for justice for your brother, for your family member, because we know that in that fight, he will remain with us for eternity. We are today joining this family in their plight because the family needs answers as to the events that occurred that night when a sheriff's officer came out to their home and had an encounter with Mr. Marcelo Garcia, who was facing a mental health episode at that time. We ask at the same time, not only for the family to get clarity, but for many of the community members who are asking for that same clarity, for that clarity to be brought upon us, and for the family to be able to see the video of what occurred last night so they and their attorneys and the community can make their own conjectures as to what happened and what should have happened that night. We also want to call attention to the fact that in Harris County, we say that we are doing a good job with mental health issues, when in reality, we are the largest housers of mental health facility, which is the Harris County Sheriff's Office in the county jail. At the same time, we know that there's money that can be allocated so that we can do a better job, so that we don't have to have another Marcelo Garcia or another person who has suffered this fate because of an issue, of a health issue that they have. It is important that we recognize that mental health issue is super important, but at the same time, that it presents an issue in our community and must be resolved before we have another case like Marcelo Garcia. We vow today to continue and to start supporting the attorneys of Marcelo Garcia as well as the family, the Garcia family, to make sure that at the end of the day, they get the answers that they deserve. We are not asking for special treatment, but rather asking for the opportunity for them to have the answers and for them to see for themselves the events that occurred on the night that Marcelo Garcia was shot and killed by a Sheriff's County officer. So immediately, our immediate ask, and we're going to keep repeating this because we need this not to happen tomorrow or next week or next month, but immediately we are asking for the release of body cam footage so that the family, the community, and the attorneys may come to their own resolve as to the events that happened on the night that Marcelo Garcia was killed. Hoy nos entristece estar de nuevo con otra familia que está sufriendo. Antes de empezar, les quiero dar nuestro más sentido pésamo a la familia de Marcelo García, pero a la misma vez decirles que les agradezco por tener la valentía y aunque ahorita están en sufrimiento, tener la valentía de poder llamar a la justicia por su ser querido y por la comunidad. Es importante que ellos tengan la oportunidad, también con los abogados, de ver los eventos que ocurrieron la noche que Marcelo García tuvo un episodio de salud mental y se llamó por ayuda, y en vez de ayuda recibieron solamente una tragedia esa noche que les ocurrió. Es importante que luchemos y que se le dé claridad a esta familia para que ellos puedan hacer sus propias conjeturas de lo que pasó esa noche y juntos podamos llegar a una resolución para que esto no vuelva a ocurrir de nuevo. Desgraciadamente, muchas familias pasan por lo que esta familia está pasando y es importante que luchemos para que estas cosas ya no ocurran. De nuevo, inmediatamente, no la semana que viene, no el mes que viene, no el año que viene, inmediatamente le pedimos a la oficina del alguacil del condado Harris que deje a la familia que vea el video de los eventos que pasó esa noche para que nosotros juntos como comunidad y familia podamos tener nuestras propias conjeturas de lo que pasó y podamos hacer lo que necesitamos que hacer para que haya justicia para el señor Marcelo García. En la lucha, Marcelo García continuará presente y nosotros seguiremos hablando de la persona que era Marcelo García para que ninguna otra familia tenga que pasar por lo que esta familia está pasando. Today we are joined by Marcelo's family, as well as 3 of his young daughters, who witnessed what happened on the events that Marcelo Garcia was taken away. We are also joined by his sister and by his parents, who are obviously grieving for the loss of Marcelo Garcia. Hoy nos acompaña la familia de Marcelo García, incluyendo 3 de sus hijas que vieron lo que pasó esa noche. También sus padres que están sufriendo mucho, y sus hermanas y su familia extendida. Pero nosotros estamos seguros y hoy hacemos el compromiso de trabajar con la familia, de trabajar con los abogados y llegar a donde tengamos que llegar para asegurar que ellos tengan la justicia que ellos se merecen. So we are now going to introduce Bianca de la Chica. She is the attorney for the Marcelo Garcia family, and she's going to give a brief statement both in English and in Spanish. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Bianca Calderon de la Chica. I am the attorney for the Marcelo Garcia family. I would first like to start off and let you know that the love that they have for Mr. Garcia is not only inspiring, but it is something that is giving us strength during this time. We are here today to remind the public of the tragic event of last week involving Marcelo Garcia. Marcelo's family reached out to the Harris County Mental Health Unit for assistance with Marcelo, who was in the midst of a mental health crisis. Marcelo's wife contacted the mental health unit in order to assist Marcelo, using the contact number that she was provided and in the past used successfully. She did not call 911. However, unlike previous episodes where several mental health professionals responded, this time it is believed that a single inexperienced sheriff's deputy arrived and escalated the situation, which resulted in the shooting death of Marcelo Garcia in front of his wife and his young daughters. Unfortunately, the system seems to have failed Marcelo at least 3 times. 3 times his death was avoidable. The first failure was that of the mental health system across the United States, and notably here in Harris County. Marcelo and others like him deserve proper mental health awareness and treatment regardless of their financial means. That includes both a public mental health facility that treats individuals for the appropriate amount of time and a mental health response unit to respond to calls like the one Marcelo's wife placed on April 14th. A solo law enforcement officer should never have been sent to respond to that call. Instead, a trained mental health person should be sent to the Garcia home. If a law enforcement officer responds to a mental health crisis, they should not arrive alone, and they should have adequate training in responding to situations involving individuals in the middle of a mental health crisis. This deputy either did not have adequate training or failed to follow that training. This deputy's personal information, we still do not know his name. The second failure occurred when the deputy shot and killed Marcelo. According to the family, Marcelo did not wield a knife. By now, you have likely seen the surveillance video of Marcelo and the deputy. As shown on the video, Marcelo was many feet away from the officer when he was shot. Yet, he was shot twice, in the chest, in front of his family. The deputy clearly failed to properly respond to a mental health episode. The last and very sad failure occurred in the 7 to 8 minutes after Marcelo was shot. The surveillance video shows the deputy completely failed to render any medical aid to Marcelo after he shot him. Rather, the officer kept his gun drawn and pointed at Marcelo while his wife and 3 children looked on helpless. Marcelo was left to fight for his life, alone on the street, with the cries of his wife and children echoing in his ears in his last moments. Regardless of any facts leading up to the point of shooting, There is no excuse for allowing Marcelo to die in the street. As we have stated before, and as I stand here today, the Harris County Sheriff has still not released the deputy body cam footage, nor those body cam footage of those who arrived on the scene after the shooting, nor do we know the deputy's name. Marcelo's family adamantly maintains that he did not pose an unreasonable risk of danger to the deputy. It is also heart-wrenching that this family has had no significant follow-up from the Sheriff's Department. The department has stated that they are grieving with the family, yet there has not even been an indication as to when Marcelo's body will be released to the family for a proper burial, or when a formal meeting will take place to provide the Garcia family with answers. Thank you.
Okay. So we will now, once again, we recently learned about this tragedy, as many of you all did, and we want to make sure that the family gets the answers that they deserve. And part of the very troubling news that we heard was the fact that the family hasn't even have access to Marcelo during this entire time. So that's the other ask that we have for all entities involved. So una de las cosas también que aprendimos recientemente es que, como muchos de ustedes, es no solamente lo que pasó, pero también que la familia de Marcelo no ha tenido acceso al cuerpo para darle a santa sepultura. So eso es otra cosa que estamos pidiendo. Ahora, we will have Jessica Garza, who is Marcelo's sister. She will come up and make a brief statement. Jessica? English first.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Garza Godinez. Jessica, Jessica, Garza, Garza, Godinez, Godinez. I am Marcelo Garcia's sister. This morning, we are gathered here to celebrate my brother's life. We're here to also request for Sheriff Ed Gonzalez to give us the body cam footage so that we can have a clear vision of what happened. We're also requesting his body so we could put it to rest. We would like to have a meeting with Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. I need you guys to know that Marcelo Garcia suffered from mental health and that we're here for justice for Marcelo Garcia, but we're also here for justice for the mental health patients. I was not aware previously that this department was shorthanded. I was not aware previously that this has happened many other times. I need the mental health community to stand together, and that community to stand together and help us to get justice for Marcelo Garcia. I want to let you guys know that my brother was a beautiful person, always helpful to others. He was a father to 4 girls, and he always made sure to let them know that academics was so important and that all 4 would go to college. He also was my parents' firstborn, only son. He was my mother's best friend, but he was also the person that would take care of her at home. She's lost that. He was like a home nurse, particular nurse that was just dedicated to her. And me and my sister have lost my brother, our older brother. I was not aware that my brother was preparing me for this day. He prepared me for this day. He always told me that women could be strong physically and mentally. He trained me. He trained me physically and mentally for this day. And I'm going to stand strong for him. And we want justice for my brother and for all the mental health patients that have already gone through this. And I apologize for barely being made aware of this situation, but we can stop it today. Let's unite and let's stop it for Harris County. Let's ask and hold Sheriff Ed Gonzalez accountable. He can't continue telling us that they're short-staffed over and over. Thank you. Buenos días. Yo me llamo Jessica Garza Godínez. Jessica J-E-S-S-I-C-A. Garza G-A-R-Z-A. Godínez. G-O-D-I-N-E-Z. Estamos aquí reunidos para celebrar la vida de mi hermano, para recordar que él quiere que estemos aquí y que su familia esté fuerte y que seamos valientes para el trabajo que él nos dejó, que su vida no sea en vano. Estamos pidiendo que el sheriff Ed González los dé el video de body cam. Estamos pidiendo que el sheriff Ed González los dé su cuerpo para ponerlo en paz y para empezar todo lo que se ocupa hacer. Estamos pidiendo que Sheriff González, una junta con él para contestar estas respuestas. Queremos justicia para Marcelo García, pero queremos también justicia para todos los pacientes de Harris County que tienen problemas mentales. Apenas aprendí que este departamento no tiene suficiente gente con esta entrenación. Apenas aprendí que mi hermano no es el primero. Apenas aprendí que este problema y esta excusa se le da a muchas familias. Y hoy le tenemos que poner ese pare. Ocupo que la comunidad se junte para Marcelo García y se junte para agarrar justicia para todos los de problemas mentales. Hoy le ponemos el pare al Sheriff Ed González, que los tiene que dar muchas preguntas. Les quiero dejar saber que Marcelo era una persona muy humilde, muy fuerte, muy cariñoso y muy juguetón con sus hijas. Siempre él con su familia y su esposa cuidaban los estudios de las niñas y los dos siempre predicaban que querían que llegaran a colegio. Mis padres perdieron a su primer hijo, a su único varón, pero también es importante que sepan que también se perdió mi mamá, su mejor amigo. Él es la que la cuidaba médicamente. Él es la que la curaba y la cuidaba y hacía sus terapias con ella. Ha perdido mucho más que nada más un hijo. Ha perdido la persona que estaba atento con ella de todo médico. Y yo y mi hermana hemos perdido un hermano fuerte. valiente, que no sabía yo que Él me estaba preparando toda mi vida para ser una mujer fuerte físicamente y mentalmente. Él siempre me decía que las mujeres podíamos ser fuertes física y mentalmente. Yo no sabía que Él me estaba preparando para este día, pero tengo que terminar lo que Él me enseñó. Aunque se me rompa el corazón, tengo que enfrentarlos y tengo que ser fuerte. Tengo que ser fuerte porque esta es la entrenación que Él me dejó como mi hermano mayor. Juntémonos justicia para Marcelo García. Juntémonos justicia para todos los pacientes de problemas mentales en Harris County. Juntémonos en que los conteste el sheriff Ed González y que pare de estar usando la misma excusa con muchas familias. Hoy para eso. Gracias.
It's sad to note that the Harris County Jail is actually the largest mental health provider in the state of Texas. Even though there are resources that exist to where more mental health practitioners and a better job could be done at housing and taking care of those people who don't have crime problems, but rather have mental health issues. Es triste saber que la cárcel del condado de Harris es la persona o la entidad más grande que provee cuidado de salud mental a las personas. So, no es solamente que personas tengan problemas de crímenes, pero hay muchas personas que tienen problemas mentales y no estamos haciendo buen trabajo, aunque existen los recursos para poder hacer eso. So today we are asking the public to help uplift this family's cry and to uplift their story so that together we can not only get justice for Marcelo, but for all the other families out there who we do not want them to suffer the same fate. So hoy pedimos al público que continúe a levantar esta familia, no solamente en los medios, pero también en oración, para que juntos podamos llegar a justicia para ellos y para que otra familia no tenga que pasar por lo que esta familia está pasando. So now we will take questions. Attorney Bianca de la Chica, as well as Eric Zender, who's also representing the family, will keep questions brief. So if I may ask him to come up, and if y'all have questions, right now would be a good time to ask them.
Bianca, you were saying about the surveillance video that you see Marcelo approaching the deputy with adhesives. Where is that surveillance video? Where was it taken? Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen the video footage. It was taken from a neighbor's house, and we have released it to the media.
Could you share a copy of that again?
Absolutely.
For those that did not get it?
Yes.
We can share a copy of that video. Unfortunately, you don't know the events that lead up to the point of that video. And again, the body cam that the deputy and the responding officers would have on them would provide any supplemental information that could aid in everybody uncovering the facts of this investigation, both by the police department, the sheriff's department, and on behalf of the family.
How much time went by from the time of calling the sheriff's office to when the shooting happened?
So it's the family's understanding, it's our understanding that it was a matter of minutes before, the responding deputy came. The call went to the mental health line. It's our understanding that the mental health unit that had been there in the past was unavailable or busy on another call. And so the single deputy came, and we believe that was somewhere in the 10 to 15 minute range. Of course, we can compare records with the police department's information once we receive that as well.
Bianca, ¿nos puedes decir en español? La oficina del alguacil dice que Marcelo sí tenía un cuchillo, un arma. ¿Ustedes qué responden a eso?
Sí, la familia está muy, su esposa miró todo que pasó y ella está 100% que él no tenía ningún cuchillo antes de perdió su vida. Yes. So the wife of Mr. Garcia and his children all witnessed the events leading up to Marcelo Garcia's shooting, and they are adamant that they did not witness Mr. Garcia having a knife moments leading up to his death.
Was he approaching the deputy or when he got shot?
We will let the video speak for itself.
If there was a knife recovered at the scene, or is the question of knife, there was a knife present, but at the moment he was shot, he didn't have possession of it? Is that your position?
Well, as the video will show when we receive it, there has been mention in articles that a knife was recovered from the scene. We do not know if a knife was wielded. It's the family's position there was no knife. This question can be quickly answered by turning over the body cam.
Has the Sheriff's Department given a response to the request for that, or has it just been no response?
We have received no communication from the Sheriff's Department thus far.
Who have you reached out to?
We have reached out to the Sheriff's Department.
Okay. And so, like, but just like an email, phone calls, is anyone just like kind of ignoring it or responding, saying any kind of response?
We have called. Thus far, we have received no response. I believe there were multiple calls also made this morning that we will check on as well.
We do know Sheriff Gonzalez did issue a Twitter statement that he does plan on releasing the body cam footage to support their contentions, but again, we are waiting, and that's the point of this press conference, is the family wants answers, and the family deserves answers, and we won't stop until we get those answers.
I know this is maybe difficult to say, but if there was maybe by the deputy a perception of some threat, obviously, I'm guessing you don't say that puts the Sheriff's Department off the hook on a case like this where a single deputy untrained in mental health intervention is responding to a scene and is not de-escalating. Would
Correct.
that be correct?
Correct.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I'm not going to speak to what the deputy was feeling at the time. That will come out in due time as well. What you can see is distance between the deputy who fired the shots and Marcelo. On top of that, any perceived threat would be subjective on the deputy's behalf, and that will come out as the investigation progresses.
Do you see in what you've learned and observed through the video and the family that any de-escalation strategy was introduced during this confrontation?
Well, we have learned from the family that in the past there were strategies from the mental health unit that did work in addressing the situation. Again, we do not know the initial events as they occurred when the initial encounter between Marcelo and the deputy occurred. That will again come out with the camera, with the body cam video. Again, regardless of, I want to make the point, regardless of what the events as they transpired leading up to the shooting, after the shooting, there's no excuse for not rendering any aid to him.
Do you have the dates, do you have the dates and times of the prior calls as well as the phone number for the, that was provided with mental health unit?
We're compiling that as the investigation goes on, and we'll provide a little bit more detail on that.
Bien, pero la familia dice que no les ha dado el cuerpo de Marcelo, el médico forense. ¿Hay alguna razón? ¿Todavía está la autopsia pendiente y hay una causa de muerte?
Me imaginé que esa es la razón, pero no tenemos ninguna respuesta del condado de Harris porque ellos no quieren dar el cuerpo de la familia García.
¿Ya hay causa de muerte?
Sí.
¿Autopsia?
Oh, y yo imagino que sí, ellos van a hacer una autopsia, pero como ya estamos diciendo que no tenemos ninguna comunicación dentro de la familia García y la oficina de Harris County Sheriff's Department.
All right.
Your name on camera, please.
My name is Eric Zender. E-R-I-C, Z as in zebra, E-H-N-D-E-R.
Stay right here. empezar a escalar y vamos a ver, porque la comunidad está pidiendo respuestas y de nuevo, no las queremos las respuestas en una semana, en un mes, las queremos hoy porque es lo que la familia se merece. We are planning a series of events. We're going to continue to support the family and the attorneys to do whatever it takes to make sure that this family gets the answers that they deserve. And we're going to continue to support them until they get, like I said, they're asking for a special privilege, but just to be treated the same as everybody else and to get their opportunity for them to make their own conjectures and come to their own conclusions as to the events that occurred. Just to reiterate, two big things that we need right now is number one, for the body cam footage to be released immediately to the family so that they may look at it, and for Marcelo's body to be turned over so he may be buried in good faith. Dos cosas que pedimos de nuevo inmediatamente es que número uno se dé el video a conocer el video para que la familia lo pueda ver y pueda ver los eventos que ocurrieron esa noche y que se les entregue también el cuerpo para que ellos puedan dar santa sepultura. To close, it is important to point out that we shouldn't even be here today. This was preventable, and there was many failures, as the attorney spoke in her statement, that took place that led for Marcelo to be killed on the street the night that this event happened. But we must continue to advocate so that we fix these mistakes and not dwell on these mistakes, but work actively with the county and with the city to make sure that there is more adequate funding for mental health issues, as well as a better response to the tax-paying citizens who pay for these services and who deserve to have access to these services. Es muy importante que, para cerrar, que no tendríamos que estar aquí hoy. Esas tragedias pueden haber sido prevenidas por teniendo la respuesta adecuada de personas entrenadas en cuestiones de salud mental, en vez de más policiaco. En vez de seguir dando dinero para comprar más vehículos de alto calibre o cosas así, se puede usar ese dinero para poder ayudar a personas que realmente lo necesitan, que son personas que pagan taxas y tienen que tener el mismo acceso que todas las demás personas a cuidado de salud mental. So we stand by the Marcelo Garcia family, and we will continue to fight until they get the justice that they deserve. Estamos aquí y vamos a seguir apoyando a la familia de Marcelo García hasta que ellos tengan la justicia que ellos se merecen. So with that, we will close, and we just ask you to be on the lookout for follow-up events. So con eso vamos a cerrar y les pedimos que estén en la mira para otros eventos. Ahorita, por el momento, les pedimos también privacidad para la familia, porque ellos están ahorita muy afectados so al final, en el futuro, ellos harán un statement como familia. So we also ask for privacy for the family. They are very affected. They do not wish to talk right now on camera, so we could just respect their wishes. And then in the future, we will have them follow up and we will do that work. Thank you.
Thank you.